Classical documents of the activities of our elder brothers are their so-called Mahatma letters to Alfred Percy Sinnett and other members of the Theosophical Society in India at the end of the 19th century. By this means, Mahatma Kutumi in particular tried to exert influence on the work of this society, unfortunately, mostly without being listened to or obeyed. In the letter of the Mahatmas, now being translated, you can see how our guidance, which was undertaken in accordance with the higher plan, was quite remote from all earthly activities. Anyone can still today inspect the originals of these letters at the British Museum in London. They and their scientifically well-documented surrounding circumstances give a vivid and illuminating insight into the way of life, the work, and the higher powers of the Brotherhood. Urusvati knows the many warnings and instructions that have been sent to humanity. Compare the teachings of Pythagoras, the letters of Prester John, the activities of Saint-Germain, and the letters of the Mahatmas. You will find in all of them a concern for the healing of humanity. The Mahatma letters as well are a preliminary stage to the teachings of Agni Yoga. Some people will ask why the letters we wrote 50 years ago are so unlike the writings now being transmitted. But even the call does not resemble the book Heart, for when the call was being transmitted, there was no Armageddon. Let the inquirers understand that Armageddon changes many of life's circumstances. The Holy Scripture of the teachings of the Temple was handed down to the American Francialadue by Mahatma Hilarion in the late 19th and early 20th century. It is also a preliminary stage to Agni Yoga. The community temple of the people based on it is still in existence today. There is no doubt that at the due time the Great Brotherhood selects one or two persons for the renewal of the human consciousness and for introducing a new degree of the teaching. This was the case with Blavatsky and, after her death, with Francialadue, through whom the Master Hilarion gave his teaching. Unfortunately, Francialadue died in 1923. She was the founder of a society in California and the editor of the magazine Temple Artisan, in which the messages, the teachings of the temple, were published. Of all these recent revelations, the books of Agni Yoga are by far the most comprehensive, the most profound, and at the same time, the easiest to understand. The Mahatmas communicated them to the Russian Helena Roerich, the wife of the great painter Nicholas Roerich, in the first half of the 20th century. He who does not close his heart will recognize. here are speaking to us beings of a higher evolutionary level. As the Bible has guided mankind spiritually for the last 2000 years, Agni Yoga will do so for the next 2000 years. The sources of the teaching are beyond human limits. You should not think that the Mahatmas have remained without followers. The world government in Shambhala is just the top of a global organization which has many middle and lower levels as well. Advanced human beings of all times, of all peoples, and of all faiths have labored as co-workers, emissaries, or incarnated members of the Brotherhood on earth. For example, Hermes, Orpheus, and Krishna, Confucius, Lao Tse, and Milarepa, Moses, Solomon, and David, Zarathustra, Pythagoras, Pericles, Plato, Apollonius of Tyana, Origen, Seneca, and Mark Aurel, Akbar the Great, the saints Antonius the Great, Francis of Assisi, Sergius of Radonesh, Teresa of Avila, Catherine of Siena and Joan of Arc, Leonardo da Vinci, Paracelsus, Jakob Böhme, and Saint-Germain, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, and many others more. Commemorate the many who have toiled for the Brotherhood. In addition to the inhabitants of the stronghold of the Brotherhood, there are others living on earth who carry out our missions. One can trace how in different countries throughout history people appeared whose tasks and methods of accomplishing them had much in common. How is it in our time? We may assume that the heroes of faith of our days, such as Albert Schweitzer, Maximilian Kolbe, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and Mother Teresa, were also close to the Brotherhood. Even if they might not have known the Mahatmas, they were unconsciously their collaborators in serving their goals. Is it so difficult to imagine that our friends can be found in different parts of the world, and that using the local languages they try to restrain human madness? They may not even know about each other, but will nevertheless act for the same general good. These examples show the Brotherhood cannot be claimed by a single religion, nation, or confession. It has always served all humanity in the name of the one truth. If such great masters actually exist and dwell on this earth, for the high-minded among you, there can be only one aspiration. Get on the way to them, enter their service, carry out their instructions, prove worthy of their attention, and participate in their great work. How then can one fail to join the highest might which guides the planet? A certain inner independence and high-spiritedness demanded that Knecht only serve the highest Lord. The highest goal and the most important position a person can achieve is to act first as a co-worker and then as a disciple of the Mahatmas, and to support them to the best of his abilities. The existence of the hierarchy is the foundation of the entire life. There is no task more successful than service to hierarchy. Think, therefore, about the complexity of our labor and try to apply your forces in the same direction. Everyone can do something useful. Each consciousness can perceive the necessary path. Cooperation is predestined for all. You come into contact with the leaders of this planet and labor together with them on their great work. This is the most exciting adventure of our time. Without heroic deed, life is straitened and impossible. Is there any example of such a high service? Let us hear the beautiful legend of Saint Christopher. Once upon a time there was a man named Reprobus, that is, the damned one, who was too proud to serve anyone else but the highest Lord. He first tried a king who was said to be the most powerful in the world. However, when one day the devil was mentioned, the king made the sign of the cross in order to deprive Satan of all power over him. Reprobus concluded that the devil must be more powerful than the king and entered his service. On their way, they came to a crucifix. Satan made a detour because he feared the cross. Reprobus, realizing that Christ was stronger than even the devil, went in search of him. He asked a hermit, "What should I do to serve Jesus Christ?" The hermit recommended fasting and other pious exercises. "Impossible," said Reprobus. "I am unable to do all these things." The hermit advised, "Do you see the dangerous river down there? People who want to cross it often lose their lives in the process. With your tremendous strength, you might carry the travelers from one bank to the other. By helping your fellow human beings, you will serve the King of Kings, Jesus Christ." So it happened that after long years of serving many, one day Reprobus was allowed to carry the infant Jesus across the river. Since then, he has been called Christophorus, the carrier of Christ. Let us take this high-spirited attitude as an example. Is it not shameful to which vain and selfish interests, our own and others, we are still devoting our time and strength? Why, in servility to the petty people, dost thou conceal the sacred seed bestowed upon thee? Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. It will not be dishonorable if, on the deathbed, you look back on your life and find out, I have always behaved as a decent man and helped to sell coffee beans. But you will be more proud if you can say, I was serving as a co-worker of the Brotherhood. Or if, like with Alfred Haydock, a disciple of Nicholas Roerich, on your tombstone can be read, he was a disciple of the Brotherhood. The Mahatmas expect, need, and seek your cooperation in their great work. Is not that aiming too high and demanding too much? I am not a saint. How is a little man like me supposed to help the rulers of this earth? This means thinking wrongly. You have to realize, without our own active participation, the brothers cannot advance the earth at all. Unlike with the animals, our own evolution also requires our own conscious collaboration with the great plan. What we expect is human conscious cooperation. You can imagine our joy in finding workers worthy of our trust. Would it not be the greatest honor and satisfaction for you if the king or the president of your country appointed you to his staff? Now the rulers of this earth are calling you. The best candidates are obliged to relieve the Mahatmas, at least of a small part of their immense burden. Thus, we take into account each effort to remove the burden from the hierarchy, as in the great, so in the small. Thus, the best people are under obligation to ease their unbearable burden. Let yourself be asked, and thou, what doest thou for me? Unfortunately, only a few are willing to actively support the efforts of the world government. We wait for the few who would be able to carry out our instructions and assist in performing the great mission entrusted to us. Yet must we possess our souls in patience, knowing that here and there one will turn aside from the crowd to seek out the waiting shepherd. In days to come, we shall gather these enlightened ones together, and the great mission will then be accomplished. The mantra of the disciple is Teacher, let me become thy helper. Can I be so fortunate as to have the privilege of helping my teachers?